Russia has vowed revenge on ISIS for bombing a jetliner in Egypt, killing all 224 people on board. Russian warplanes have intensified attacks on key ISIS territories in Syria. This comes after investigators discovered a homemade 2-pound explosive brought down the Russian plane last month. And now the Russian government is offering a $50 million reward for any information. Retired U.S. Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer is with us, and he joins us on the phone. Colonel Shaffer, Russia has vowed to, quote, find and punish the terrorists responsible. France has declared war on the terrorists. Francois Hollande, the president of France, saying that he intends to destroy ISIS. So what does this mean now that both countries are intensifying their fight against ISIS, joining the U.S. in that fight?
Well, I think two things. First, we really should call upon those other nations to focus the effort in a way that's going to be effective, not just out of revenge. I mean, both countries have been bloodied here, and frankly, so have we. I mean, we've lost folks already through beheadings. We've got to recognize here that there is something greater to be done, and I think we should focus on that. Secondly, as we move into this, I think the one commonality we must all focus on, and I was talking about this on other networks this morning, is restoring governed space to Syria and Iraq. The bottom line is that the reason all this is happening is because you've had the ISIS establish itself as an effective state. And only recently have we begun to really walk back their ability to both generate income. We're talking about a $2 billion terror enterprise. And let me tell you, this attack in Paris probably cost them maybe $100,000. They didn't even take a dent. And more importantly, we've really got to work to establish some path forward which will benefit the people who live in those areas. That includes the Yazidi, the Assyrians, and also those who are being oppressed by President Assad. No small issue, but these are the things that we really should lead on as a nation to try to push these other nations who are bloodied into a positive perspective as we move forward.
Colonel Shaffer, there's been a lot of questions over whether President Obama's strategy of containing ISIS has been effective. Just objectively speaking, using your military expertise and not, forget the politics of all this, I wonder if, A, do you think the president, when he made those comments, he was talking about ISIS on the battlefield and not perhaps what kind of tactics ISIS may use outside of Syria and Iraq? And two, is the criticism of the president a correct one? Has he been misguided in how he has responded to ISIS over the last couple of years, leading to their rise?
Well, let me preface my comments by the fact that I've been on every network talking about this, and I've given the same assessment. The president has completely underestimated ISIS consistently from day one. He was warned 2 years ago by Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, a year before we even knew about ISIS, that this was coming, and that ISIS was coming, and the moment that the Iraqis tried to stop it, they would collapse. That's what happened. So the president has been given the best possible military and intelligence guidance, step by step by step, and he's ignored it. Right now, the Pentagon is doing everything it can to give him excellent options. His speech yesterday, I agree with those on the left, was pedantic and essentially out of touch, because he put up a straw man saying we have to put 100,000 troops in there, U.S. troops, to take care of this, or we have to continue with the option I put forth. That's wrong. We have other options. We can organize our allies, the Arabs, into an Arab NATO. We can work more closely with those indigenous people on the ground, like the Kurds. And frankly, we can achieve victory. It's been a choice to not step up to the plate by the president. And again, we're being dragged into this now by the French and the Russians. And I suggest we get our act together to basically get back in the fight to direct this, because if we don't direct it, we will be essentially left in the dustbin of history.
And that's sort of my last question to you, sir. I guess, does it appear to you that it is Russia and France that ultimately is going to lead this fight against ISIS? And because President Obama has been misguided, as you pointed out, that has ignored repeated warnings about the rise of the Islamic State, that we're going to sort of be trailing behind these two countries?
Well, I think that's the issue. It's like, do we really want to allow the Russians to kind of take over dominance of the global paradigm? If everybody is okay with the fact that the Russians then will take our place as essentially the global arbiter of right and wrong, then that's fine. I think the United States has done a really good job of trying to be the adult in the room to help everybody. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. And do we overuse military force? Absolutely. It's one of my criticisms that Congress does not restrain the executive to the level they should. With that said, I think we've done more good than bad, and I don't think the Russians would be quite so friendly, if you will, to use a common term, should they become the big dog on the block. And I think we need to rethink what our strategy is, what our interests are, and then fund the Pentagon to that level and be effective in leading the world.
Colonel Tony Shaffer in Washington, thank you, sir, for your analysis. We appreciate it.